Over the last 50 years, the poverty rate in the US has barely budged. Around 11% of the US population was considered poor in 2019. In 1970, just about 12% was. There is no real improvement here. 37.9 million Americans are currently living in poverty, accounting for 11.6% of the total population. That's despite the fact that America ranks first as the richest nation in the world in terms of GDP. About 11% of the federal budget, or $665 billion, goes to economic security programs every year. Child poverty alone is estimated to cost the US over $1 trillion based on the latest research. So why the we can't end poverty? 1. Economic inequality. Economic inequality is a major obstacle to poverty eradication in the US according to the World Inequality Database. The top 1% of income earners in the country captured more than 30% of the national income in recent years. This concentration of wealth makes it difficult to distribute resources equitably and address poverty effectively. The growing divide between the rich and the poor is a defining feature of economic inequality in the USA. The wealthiest individuals and corporations amass substantial amounts of wealth, while a significant portion of the population struggles to access economic opportunities. This wealth concentration deprives those in poverty of resources and limits their ability to improve their socioeconomic status. In recent decades, wages for low and middle income workers have stagnated, while the cost of living continues to rise. This wage stagnation further widens the gap between the rich and the poor and leaves many working families struggling to afford basic necessities like housing, healthcare, and education. Access to quality education is a vital determinant of upward mobility and escaping poverty. Unfortunately, the education system in the USA is plagued by disparities, with wealthier communities having better funded schools and resources. This unequal access to education perpetuates a cycle of poverty, limiting opportunities for those in disadvantaged areas. 2. High cost of living. The high cost of living in many metropolitan areas across the country exacerbates poverty rates. Housing, healthcare, and education expenses consume a significant portion of individuals' incomes, making it challenging for low-income families to make ends meet. Affordable housing and essential services remain pressing issues that contribute to the persistence of poverty. The exorbitant expenses for basic necessities like housing, healthcare, education, and transportation often push individuals and families into poverty, perpetuating a cycle that is challenging to break. The increasing demand for housing, coupled with limited supply, has led to soaring rent and property prices. For low-income individuals and families, finding affordable housing becomes an uphill battle, forcing them to allocate a significant portion of their income towards rent or mortgage payments. Also, the cost of healthcare in the USA is amongst the highest in the world. Access to quality medical care, especially without adequate health insurance, can lead to crippling medical debts, pushing many people below the poverty line. 3. Insufficient social safety nets. Compared to many other developed countries, the US has relatively limited social safety net programs. The absence of comprehensive social welfare systems, such as universal healthcare and robust unemployment benefits, leaves vulnerable populations at a higher risk of falling into poverty or struggling to escape it. Many low-income individuals and families do not have access to the social safety net programs due to strict eligibility requirements or insufficient funding. This leaves a significant portion of the population without essential support during times of financial crisis. Also, the benefits provided by social safety net programs may not be enough to meet the basic needs of individuals and families. For example, the amount of cash assistance provided through welfare programs is often criticized for being too low to lift recipients out of poverty. The social safety net in the US consists of multiple programs at the federal, state, and local levels. The fragmented nature of these programs can create confusion for those in need and lead to inefficiencies in service delivery. 4. Racial disparities. Racial disparities play a significant role in perpetuating poverty in the US. Historically rooted systemic racism has led to unequal access to education, employment opportunities, and wealth accumulation for marginalized communities. Addressing these disparities is crucial for achieving long-term poverty reduction. 5. Educational inequality. Education is widely recognized as a powerful tool that can break the cycle of poverty and pave the way for socioeconomic mobility. However, in the United States, a significant number of individuals are hindered by a lack of access to quality education. This article explores how this educational disparity plays a critical role in perpetuating poverty and the subsequent impact on individuals and communities. One of the primary factors contributing to poverty in the USA is the stark educational inequality present across the nation. Low-income communities often lack the necessary resources, funding, and qualified educators, resulting in subpar educational opportunities for their residents. Access to quality education opens doors to better job opportunities and higher earning potential. Those with limited educational attainment face challenges in securing stable employment, leading to financial instability and increased vulnerability to poverty. 6. Limited social mobility. Limited social mobility, or the ability to move up the socioeconomic ladder, hampers poverty eradication efforts. Studies have shown that individuals born into poverty are more likely to remain in poverty throughout their lives, indicating a lack of opportunities for upward mobility. Addressing barriers to mobility, such as disparities in education and access to capital, is crucial for breaking the cycle of poverty. Despite being a prosperous nation, the United States faces significant challenges in its efforts to eradicate poverty. Economic inequality, limited social safety nets, racial disparities, high living costs, and limited social mobility all contribute to the persistence of poverty within the country. Addressing these systemic issues requires comprehensive policies that promote equitable distribution of resources, equal opportunities, and social welfare programs. By tackling these root causes, the U.S. can take significant steps toward alleviating poverty and creating a more just society for all.